Hey guys, what's up? It's Mate. Hope you guys are good. So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Judas. Typically when Christians talk about Judas, we talk about other people being Judas or being like Judas. And the whole idea of Judas, as in Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus, is that people can't be trusted. But it's often associated with backstabbing and all of these things. But have we ever thought about looking at ourselves in light of Judas? And that's kind of what I want to talk about uh, with you guys today. Looking at ourselves in light of Judas, because a lot of us have qualities of Judas, and what it comes down to, I think, is expectations. See, when certain people or certain things don't meet our expectations, there are times that we embody the same type of ideology that Judas did. Now, let's jump into Matthew 26 here. And let's read through. So, Jesus, multiple times, spoke about someone who's going to betray him. He spoke that he was going to be crucified. He prophesied that he was going to be raised up from the dead. And, people didn't really understand what he was saying. There was confusion in terms of what he was saying. And in Matthew 26, he said it again. He said, "Now it came to pass when Jesus had finished all of these sayings that he said to his disciple, you know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. Then the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people assembled at the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to take Jesus by trickery and kill him. But they said, not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people." So they were already plotting, even from beforehand, they were plotting to try to get rid of Jesus. And when Jesus was in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him having an alabaster box filled with very costly fragrant oil, and she poured it on his head as he sat at the table. And when his disciples saw, they were indignant, saying, "Why this waste? For this fragrant oil might have been sold for much and given to the poor." But when Jesus was aware of it, he said to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? For she had done a good work for me. For you have the poor with you always, but me you do not have always. For in pouring this fragrant oil on my body, she did it for my burial." She was anointing him. "Assuredly, I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial of her." Just a sidebar here. The interesting thing about the disciples being indignant, they were saying, "Why this waste? For the fragrant soil, the oil may have been sold and the money given to the poor." The intentions were good. Like, hey, you're wasting the oil on Jesus. It could be given to the poor, and it's a misplaced sense of morality. And I can see that we have a lot of a misplaced sense of morality in this world that we live in. And I'm not trying to be cryptic here, but I think what I'm really trying to say is that we need to ensure that we are putting aside for God what is due to God. And it's not that anything is wrong with giving to the poor, as in this example. It's not that there's anything wrong with, I have to work, I have to do all of these things, I have to plan and think and strategize and all of these things in the natural. See, this is a natural versus a spiritual precept that was being taught here. They didn't know she was coming to anoint him ahead of his burial, ahead of his crucifixion. Ensure that we give to God what is due to God. And that's all I have to say on that. Back to the topic now. Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you?" And they counted out 30 pieces of silver. So from that time he sought an opportunity to betray him. Now different commentaries give different perspectives on why Judas, the motivation of Judas. We know that at that time, the expectation was that the Messiah, well, even now, but the expectation was that the Messiah was coming as a military leader to lead them out of the bondage of the Roman Empire. And Jesus didn't do that. He came as a lamb to lead us away, or to sacrifice himself for us so that we could be out of the bondage of sin, right? And then in his second coming, he's going to deal with judgment. Now, it's very interesting. So Judas may have had that same presupposition. We have presuppositions as well. Now, the point of this video is to look inwards and say, have I been Judas? Have I been sitting at the table with others, but my presuppositions have been different? My expectations have been different. Have I been sitting at the table with others and listening to, reading the same word, but our motivations are different? That's a tough pill to swallow and requires us to look inwardly. It requires us to self-examine our motivations, our presuppositions, all of the things that drive our actions, so that when we do make actions, we make actions not of our own will and desire, not letting Satan tempt us as Judas allowed Satan to tempt him, right? Now, I mean, this was prophesied from time past. God knew that this would happen, and God is God. God knows these things. But I still believe that the responsibility fell on Judas because of whatever presuppositions that he had. Now, that's my message to us today. Look outward. Ensure that we don't have selfish motivations. Ensure that we're not hiding anything. Ensure that we are not the wolf in sheep's clothing when it comes to the flock. And as such, we always hear about looking at others as Judas, like pointing to feel, oh, that person is a Judas, or that person is a Judas. But I think it's important for us to all introspect, and for us to all retrospect. So introspect, look inwardly, and retrospect, meaning to look back at our previous actions and examine them, so that we could ensure that we are walking with Christ and walking the way that we're supposed to. So this is my short message today. Don't be Judas. Look at our motivations and look at our intentions. Until next time, I'm out.